Hey everyone, Sumo Spiffy here. We got one more preview for Natto 2023, but since they don't release the Day 15 Torakumi until after Day 14 is complete, so they can use those results to determine final matchups, this is the hardest schedule to predict. So, I'm bringing in my boy, URA, and using an opponent with whom he's literally gone back and forth over the last year plus, SHODAI. URA leads the head-to-head 5-3, but the first two wins were back in 2017. Since then, they've alternated victories over 6 fights in 2022 and 23, and that's what we'll look at today. First, January 2022.
正代が差しに行きました。裏が手繰りましたが。
So that didn't go well. Here's the first move off the Tachiai. Now, I know last Basho I griped that Hokuto Fuji got a humongous jump on URA and caught him off guard, but this is a thing guys do. Right here, URA achieves liftoff as SHODAI's hands are just touching down. He does the URA hop, which you've seen if you've watched his matches much at all. Rather than move like most wrestlers at a consistent, usually forward and very fast pace, he does a little hop to set himself before making his move. He doesn't always do it, as we'll see going forward, but overall it's a very frequent opener. He buries his head in SHODAI's chest, getting that good head under the chin placement without concussing himself, and his arms loop to the outside. His right arm pinches SHODAI's left to keep him off the belt, but he's not really clamping down. For his part, SHODAI reaches in low with the left, keeping his right arm back. Here you can see URA's hand placed on SHODAI's left arm. SHODAI loops his arm over URA's pretty easily. URA isn't putting up a stiff defense here. Instead, URA uses the fact SHODAI is coming over the top on the right as a reason to step to SHODAI's left before any sort of clamp can lock in. Now URA does URA things, wrapping both hands around SHODAI's arm and jumping back away from that reaching right. If all goes well, he can keep more momentum going away from SHODAI than SHODAI can keep up with, and then Ozeki go splat. Unfortunately, he runs out of space, and SHODAI's keeping up. Once he's tiptoeing along the rope, he needs SHODAI to be off balance and unable to keep up with his lateral movement, but SHODAI is right on top of him. And we have another ending for the Yeats reel. This is indicative of URA's approach regardless of opponent. His greatest strength is the vast array of tools he has available, but he has to commit to one, and sometimes it's not the right move at the right time for that particular guy. On to March.
中に入れさせない正代。うまく手繰った。送りだ。
Like in January, URA hops left. Unlike in January, when he pushes forward, his forearms are tucked in rather than reaching out wide. SHODAI is also using a slightly different approach, reaching in with both arms, but this plays directly into URA's opening. URA immediately has an upward push with his right arm and loops his left around to join it. Now he's got SHODAI's forearm somewhat trapped. The instant SHODAI pulls his right hand free, URA jumps back, using his clamp on SHODAI's left elbow to trap him and yank him forward. He really needs that momentum coming towards him too, because when he gets both hands on SHODAI's left arm, there's no way he gets this kind of incredible pull without SHODAI already moving in the direction he wants him to go. Then he simply deposits SHODAI outside the ring. I don't usually show comparisons from one fight to the next because of editing time, but since URA has such a unique style, it's worth pointing this out. Look at how much space he had to move back when he started the arm pull in January, and look how much space he has this time. Obviously the perspective is different because of the camera angle, but their foot placement tells the tale. He's pulling towards SHODAI's left arm in both cases. In January, SHODAI's left foot is more than halfway to the rope where he's going to be pulled. In March, it's less than halfway. URA has at least another foot of space to work with. Granted, he didn't need that foot of space this time, which would explain why he tried it in January. If he hit the move right, it still should have worked, but he had less room for error then, and it didn't pan out. Let's look at July.
張り込んだ。左が入って下手。押した押し。
URA hops left, but this is his third hand placement in 3 fights. This time, rather than blocking with the forearms, his hands are doing the defensive work. SHODAI brings his arms in again, making them easy targets. Ura, however, fakes defense against SHODAI's left, tapping the elbow and reaching around. It looks like he's thinking about a belt grab with the right hand, but he gets nowhere near it and instead gets his hand on SHODAI's left elbow. SHODAI, however, reaches over the top for Ura's belt. Given the 3-inch height difference between them and Ura's penchant for staying low, this makes a lot of sense. Here we can tell SHODAI wasn't able to get the belt, which, womp womp, but he does appear to have hold of Ura's left arm. Ura has done everything in his power to avoid this in the last 2 fights, so if SHODAI does have the arm, that might be a bad sign. Yeah, he definitely has Ura's left arm locked down. Ura's flailing his hand roughly in the direction of SHODAI's belt, but he's nowhere near it. He still has SHODAI's left arm pinched in, so he's not in terrible shape, but SHODAI has better control and is using it to push Ura back. Now Ura's on the rope. SHODAI has no way to push with his hands, so it's just a matter of sumo hopping Ura out of the ring. Regardless of its effectiveness, this is just an awesome fun move Ura pulls off. He doesn't just try to get away, he gets his own hop in and just slaps his hand all the way up on top of SHODAI's head. SHODAI's bending back because of Ura's weight coming forward, but he's like, what the fuck is this? Unfortunately for our hero, it backfires when SHODAI responds quickly enough to get hold of Ura's belt now that the clamp is off. You can see Ura knows this is a problem from the way he snaps the clamp back on, but SHODAI's locked in. Ura desperately retreats. He's off the rope, but SHODAI broke a grip strength meter on Japanese TV once, so he knows all he has to do is keep up. SHODAI reaches in with his right hand, but Ura defends by bending his weight to the left. He's kept the position from getting worse, but it's certainly not improving. Ura tries one more gamble, kicking at SHODAI's left leg with the back of his right and bringing his right arm down at the back of his head. Given their position, if SHODAI falls, he might fall right on Ura and win anyway. This is a low percentage escape, but to Ura's credit, most guys in this position don't have any escape they can attempt. SHODAI's coming forward though, which is not conducive to the angle at which Ura is trying to trip him. He steps forward, letting go of the belt to get both hands pushing, and out goes our boy. Ura might be slippery enough that a fight is never over until he's touched down, but SHODAI really had control halfway through that one and never let it go. Now for September.
少し見てずれていった裏出させない左が覗いた気を
Fight number 4, Tachiai number 4 for Ura. No hop this time. He steps right instead. His right hand briefly goes up as a feint, but he's again ready for SHODAI's hands coming in low and brings his hands around them defensively. SHODAI doesn't overcommit to the attack, pivoting to face Ura. However, Ura has managed his range well and has his right hand on SHODAI's elbow, pushing it in. Odai has his left arm on SHODAI's right as well. As he likes to do, he doesn't have a big clamp on it. If you've ever had a chance to do the sticky hands drill from Wing Chun, it often looks like Ura wants to play that kind of game with his opponent, confident he can react correctly quicker than the other guy. He's also defending against SHODAI's left hand getting in. It's a little weird that SHODAI is so determined to get that left hand belt grab in front against Ura when he's yet to land it. SHODAI finally tries going over the top, but Ura sticky hands him and controls him at the shoulder and upper pec. As we like to point out here at the Bar and Grill, a stationary hand is a target, and SHODAI swipes Ura's away when he leaves it out there. His movement also puts force behind his right arm into Ura's left arm semi-clamp. However, because Ura's kept it loose, both of his arms swing together to the left. You know how sometimes when someone is parried like this, they get twisted up and have to recover their balance? By staying loosey-goosey, Ura never loses his balance in the first place and remains in position to defend against SHODAI's hands. To be fair, his position isn't absolutely pristine. He has to get his right hand on SHODAI's upper arm first, but then wedges the forearm underneath before SHODAI can get a hand to his belt. SHODAI frees his right hand to go over top of Ura's back, but before he can really reach, Ura drives forward. SHODAI's forced to think about defensive balance rather than grab for the belt because Pinky Boy got some juice in those legs. SHODAI gets a deep forward lean in against the push. From here, sometimes guys end up on the rope and bracing successfully or get pushed straight up and out. Different things can happen. In this case, the sand under his feet gives way more than his upper body, and Ura gives a little bow with the easy push-down win. November fight.
踏み込んだ正代裏が押し返す引き落としました正代
I haven't made a point of this in the last few matches, but this is the first fight we've looked at where Ura didn't get a split-second jump on SHODAI. Every other time, if you go frame by frame, their hands are never touching the clay at the same time. Anyway, unique Tachiai number 5 for Ura. There's no hop, but he does step left, looking like a linebacker about to annihilate a quarterback. SHODAI's got the hands low once again. This is super interesting. Ura's not playing defense this time. His right hand goes straight in for the belt. This looks like it leaves an opening for SHODAI to also get the belt on that side, but instead he defends. Given what we've seen so far, you'd think SHODAI would be okay with mutual belt holds since he would seem to have the advantage, but he might know something I don't. Or he might just be responding suboptimally. This was his last basho as an Ozeki, so he was doing a lot of shit suboptimally. But he does stop Ura from getting to the belt, so Ura powers his arms up defensively. He gets SHODAI's left hand off his ribs, but SHODAI's right forearm is already up in his face, so he can't get much force on that one. With that good brace on Ura's neck, SHODAI puts his left hand up there to push. We see guys defend pushes by lodging their hand in the pusher's armpit, but Ura's left hand isn't there. We can see his fingers pointing at the camera, which means that his forearm is underneath SHODAI's arm. His right hand is coming up from underneath, but in this moment, he has no actual defense against the push except his own balance. And we get pretty much exactly what we'd expect from that position. SHODAI launches him back, but Ura has enough space to slide into the rope and brace. This is something Ura likes to do, make a flinching movement to try and trigger an opponent's reflex and slow them down, if only for a moment. Now they're in a position similar to the third fight, where SHODAI had Ura up on the rope, except SHODAI's hands are now better positioned to push. The left here might not be able to do a lot with Ura's arm under it, but here we see the right arm is much better placed. Even if it's somewhat jammed up, it's at least capable of some pushing pressure. SHODAI tries a little belly buster action, but that just gives Ura a chance to pull his right arm through, removing the push there, and get that right hand under his armpit, killing any push on the other side as well. SHODAI's back to trying to body Ura out. Ura pushes SHODAI's left shoulder. SHODAI rolls with it, allowing himself to open up, and shoves Ura's face while Ura's left foot is forward and he's not balanced against where the face push is directed. Ura, of course, regains his footing quickly, gets his hands moving, and has SHODAI moving backwards. SHODAI tries to jam his left hand in for the belt, but Ura clamps it. The fight has swung way towards what Ura wants. SHODAI starts a pushdown, and if Ura could hold on to that left arm, he could probably keep driving SHODAI back and out in short order. But he had only his right arm around it, and the grip is already gone. With nothing left to balance on, Ura's got nowhere to go but forward. SHODAI gives him a good swat on the ass, which I'm sure someone's already written a fanfiction about, and Ura tumbles to the clay. Even though Ura was in a worse position than in Nagoya, because he didn't do any head bonks or other moves that let SHODAI get on his belt, he was able to turn it around. He lost, but it was a near miss rather than several seconds of desperate retreat before inevitably falling. And now their 2023 fight from March. This is an interesting Tachiai adjustment from Ura because it's the slightest of the changes we've seen so far. He steps in with his left foot again, shoulder down, largely the same as their previous fight. The only difference is that he drops his right arm early. This is a defensive adjustment, which is apparent from the way he locks the arm underneath SHODAI's left and twists his body to force SHODAI to rotate to the right. He never quite secures the hold though. SHODAI pulls his left free and jams his hand into Ura's chest. Now he's got a pretty good position with his left hand to either push or hold Ura at bay, though his right is up at an angle that would make pushing somewhat difficult. Ura slaps the back of SHODAI's shoulder, because that's Ura things, and steps back. SHODAI drives his hands inside, looking for that belt yet again, but Ura's forearms are inside and making that impossible. SHODAI pulls his arms free. That gives time for Ura's hands to encroach on SHODAI's belt, so SHODAI loops his arms down to clamp. He runs into an unfortunate bit of timing though. His right foot is up as Ura drives forward, which means he doesn't have the balance to simply stand against it. Now Ura gets a chance to bully SHODAI all the way to the rope. He tries to body SHODAI out, but that's not really his game. And as much as SHODAI might be criticized, he is too good to let Ura do this to him. But Ura at least has the whole ring behind him, so he's got plenty of room to maneuver. SHODAI pushes forward, as he was inevitably going to do. Ura finds a way to create space between them. This is to free his left arm, reach around Shodai's right, and go for the belt. Shodai, with his right arm now not actually doing anything, reaches down for his own belt grip, but as always, Ura's keeping his butt low and making that difficult. Shodai moves the fight back across the ring, taking away most of the space behind Ura. They each have a left-hand clamp on the other's right, but Shodai's managed to stand up straight, which stretches Ura out and raises his center of gravity. Ura steps forward and right, dropping his weight down heavily to his left. This attacks Shodai's right arm by leaning hard into the clamp. Shodai, failing to sufficiently resist this, gets stuck leaning in that direction, which loosens his clamp on Ura's right arm. Now, with all of Shodai's attention on protecting his right arm, Ura jumps away from that arm, releasing the clamp completely to get his left hand on Shodai's head, and using the greater freedom of movement in his right arm to slip his hand further around Shodai's shoulder. Even though he lands the Katsukashi perfectly, Shodai is able to keep up enough to at least drive into Ura's knee and knock him over at the end. I'm not bringing up that last part for no reason. This is Ura at his tricksy finest, and he still wasn't able to completely escape Shodai. This is why Ura will probably continue to bounce between high and mid Maegashira. He can't go straight diesel mode on the top guys, but those guys are also the ones who are most capable of either not getting tricked or reacting quickly enough to keep those tricks from securing a win. He will beat the top guys here and there, but not consistently enough to hold a Sanyaku slot for long if he ever makes it there. As for the Shodai matchup specifically, it's pretty clear that this is a matchup of brute force and fundamentals versus mobility and unique attacks. Ura consistently baits Shodai into what he wants to do, and even when he doesn't, he's not doomed as long as he can keep Shodai off the belt. But Shodai is bigger, stronger, and has his basic approach set, which means if whatever Ura tries on a given day doesn't work, the odds swing significantly in Shodai's favor. This probably remains a 50-50 matchup for as long as they're both as healthy as they are right now. That's it for day 15. Let's see how it all works out.